I was abused as a child. I absolutely hated my upbringing. I remember being pulled out of class by social services and the police for them to talk to me about why my mum stuck a sponge full of vinegar down my brother's throat. I have a bruise, a permanent bruise on my arm that I'm left with forever. I remember when me and my little brother were attacked with a baseball bat, I got a chip out my arm, and he has back problems to this day. Now, my parents might have tried their best having 5 children, but when you're left with siblings who are abusive, it sucks. And to be honest with you, I'm surprised I've made it out the way I have. Yet as a child, I was homeless. Yeah, I was homeless. I was a child. I was 17. I was a minor. 37 days or something after my driving test, I was sent out to live by myself. It's stupid. It's absolutely horrible, to be honest with you. But my car became a roof over my head for a year. Then I lived in a storage unit, and I lived in a van, and I lived in a caravan on the side of the road. I lived in a garage. I remember spending Easter living in a garage. It sucked. I've lived everywhere. In 2023, when I broke up with my ex, I was living in an office, a rented office, and the owners didn't know that I was staying there. I was sleeping on the sofa. I had a sofa. I've got that sofa still actually in my living room. But I brought a sofa into the office and I slept on that. It was awful. It was absolutely horrible of an upbringing, to be honest with you. And I have spent many, many years homeless. So when I talk about this, I feel like I've got a very good grip on the situation, because over 200 years ago, a law was put into place to make homelessness illegal. Weird, right? You wouldn't think that in this country with the amount of people you see on the streets. But no, it's true. Over 200 years ago, there was a law. You cannot be homeless. It's illegal to be homeless. You cannot sleep on the streets. So why are there people on the streets? Why didn't the council help me when I was a minor? Why is it getting worse and worse and worse? And do you know what? I'll tell you why. I've got it here on my phone, actually. Because it's on the government website. I saw this in the news this year, and I'll tell you the reason why. And they will lie. The government will lie to you. I know. Do you know what? I'll be right-winged here. That's why everyone keeps telling me in the comments I'm far right. Because I'm speaking the truth. I'm speaking my mind. I might dress homeless, but I'm not anymore. But this year, they made homelessness legal. And you can check it out online. I've literally got it on the government website right here. See? Homelessness, decriminalised. See? There we go. Rough sleeping to be decriminalised after 200 years. Government website. Now, they will tell you that they have decriminalised the Vagrancy Act of 1824 because they don't want to move along rough sleepers. You know, if you're struggling and you're sleeping on the street, they don't want to move you along. But that's not true. And I'll tell you why. Because since that has been announced, I have seen tents pop up left, right and centre. Because they are removing this. It's not about the rough sleepers. The government is making you homeless, right? Doesn't matter on your situation because everyone goes through stuff. You could be going through a divorce or an awful situation at home. It doesn't matter how you end up in this situation, but you, yourself, could end up homeless. And now, they don't have to help you. And sure, we can go on about how everyone's coming over on the boats. I know, right? Everyone's coming over on the boats and they're getting housed. These brand new estates are being filled with migrants. But forget about that for a second, because our country, the United Kingdom, England, Great Britain, whatever you want to call it, has decriminalised homelessness and has gone, no, you can sleep on the street now. I'm not entitled to social housing, by the way. Even if I wanted to be, I can't be. You know, I've not been in any area long enough because they changed the rules. They changed the laws a few years back. I think it's now 5 of the last 5 years you have to spend in an area, and I don't have any of that. So I wouldn't even be entitled to social housing if I wanted it. And that's the case for a lot of people. A lot of people are stuck in situations they don't want and aren't entitled to social housing. And you can try and go to a homeless shelter, but I had a friend who was in the homeless shelters. It took him half a decade to get housed, and he's a disabled man. In fact, he watches my videos. He's a bit older than me and he's a really disabled man. But he did finally get his place. And I remember when there was no space at the homeless shelter and I was struggling myself, and I still took my own money and I'd get us a travel lodge and we'd go stay in a travel lodge together because he's diabetic and he has medication. But they don't care. When you're homeless, they don't care. Now, think of it how you want. Oh, they're doing it because of this, that. The truth of the matter is these houses that people could be put into, they're putting other people into those houses. They're putting men from other countries into these houses, not children and not women. They're putting men into these houses, okay? While you have to sleep on the streets. Everyone has their own situation. As I've already said at the beginning, I was very open about the abuse I dealt with, and do you know what? I could probably talk for hours to a therapist about it. But the truth of the matter is regardless of what I went through, I had a car. I slept in a car. I slept in a storage unit. I slept in a garage. I'm okay, somewhat. I'm trying my best. I'm raising a child. I have an apartment I pay rent for. I'm trying my best. But there are a lot of people who try harder and do not get anywhere near where I am. And that sucks. So, when the government put this rule in, I remember finding out when they put it in. I was in a town full of tents I hadn't seen before. The place felt eerie. And this was in England, by the way. This wasn't just any town. This was a town in South England. This felt eerie. It's like, what is going on here? I've gone to this town because I have friends there, and I'm walking around and I'm seeing these tents pop up everywhere. I'm like, this isn't Sussex. You know, this isn't, why, right? So all these tents have popped up, and I found out on this trip about them decriminalising homelessness, and it just clicked in. They said, oh no, we're decriminalising it so we don't have to move on sleepers. No, we don't want to do that, because if you're rough sleeping, we don't want to have to move you on. And that's a fair enough excuse, but it's a lie. It's a lie. Why is the government lying? No, they have decriminalised homelessness so they don't have to help you. If you went to the council and you needed help, they would have to help you. They don't have to help you anymore. Go to the council at whatever gender, whatever age, whatever race, it doesn't matter. It's decriminalised for everyone, except migrants. No, it's fine. They get the houses and the new estates and these lovely new properties. It's cool. It's cool. It's all good. It's all good, you know. They don't want to help their own. And I've seen that in the comments a lot in my last 2 videos that I've uploaded on this channel where I've been speaking my mind. They don't want to help their own. And I'm seeing this more and more. And the homelessness one really gets me. I spent years homeless. Years. Physical years. And it sucked. You know, I slept in a builder's van. It was. I slept in a Renault Kangoo full of plywood, and it was horrible, right? I slept in a garage on a piece of foam lying in the back. I rented that garage for £60 a month because that's all I could afford at the time. I slept in my car. I slept in a Peugeot 206. At first I slept on the back seats, but I wasn't big enough. Then I folded down the back seats to include the boot, but it was a bit slanted, so I ended up with the front seats all the way flat, and I kind of like... Either way, when it was cold, I remember things freezing. I remember having to call out RAC to jumpstart my car most days. And as I would wait, the humidity from my breath, the condensation had frozen the windscreen. And my books for college, because I was still in college, you know. College in England, I don't know if people abroad are watching this, but college in England, you start at 16 years old. Now, my pages were frozen together, and I remember this. And I remember having to go to college and act normal and not tell anyone about my situation. And it sucked. It really sucked, you know. I tried my best when I was homeless. And I spent my time working as a delivery driver, working cash in hand, Obviously, that's not going to be a thing anymore soon because of digital IDs, but that's a whole other point. The point is I tried to get my step up, and when I had the chance, you know, I was in a room in a shared house for a bit, ended up in a storage unit, which, you go on this channel, Google living in a storage unit, and I will pop up. You'll see this face everywhere at 18 years old. I tried. I really tried, and I'm very lucky that I didn't have to sleep physically on the streets here in this country. I've slept on the streets in Ukraine and Bulgaria, whole other story. But I didn't have to sleep on the streets here because I had a car. As the council told me, the car was a roof over my head at the time. I was born in this country. I was raised in this country. My son was raised in this country and born in this country. And I don't feel safe here. I said in a previous video I felt safer in Ukraine, and to be honest, that is completely true. I did and I do. I don't feel safe in the UK. The homelessness is getting extortionate. Every single day it's getting worse. Every day people break up, every day people escape situations, every day people stupidly end up in situations. And the council can't house you. There's no room at the inn in the homeless shelters. There is no properties to give you because they're putting migrants in them. But they decriminalised homelessness, so you sleep on the street. You sleep on the street, you're in a tent. You're in your town centre or wherever you are, living in your tent on a blimmin' roundabout for all I know. They won't house you because your tent is a roof over your head. This is what I'm trying to get at. My car was a roof over my head. That tent, that bus stop, it's a roof over your head. Whether you're 17 or 70, they don't care anymore. You know, and I can scream at the top of my lungs, stand up for what's right. But do you know what? They don't care. The government do not care if you stand up for what's right, because what is right? What is right? Go on, tell me. Tell me in the comments below. Do your little typing. What is right? What is right for this country? Because I don't even know. No, I do. I have some sort of... It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what's right and what's wrong, but I'll tell you what the situation is if you end up homeless for fault of your own or no fault of your own, good luck. Because you can't get a job without an address. You can't get a bank account without an address. It's very difficult to get cash in hand these days. Even Uber delivery driving isn't cash in hand. So good luck getting cash in hand work. Good luck without a bank account. Good luck without an address. Because I don't think your address can be roundabout on XYZ coordinates. It doesn't work like that. The government suck. You can stand up, you can protest with your sticks all about and be like, we want what's fair, we need more houses. Really? Really? Have you seen the houses they're building? They're awful. Sorry, they're falling down, they're awful. Go and do your research into new builds, they suck anyway. The councils suck. Right, okay, it's not the council always building the new builds, but the place sucks, right? But even if I was entitled to social housing, I wouldn't have got it. Even if I was entitled today, I certainly wouldn't get it. There's a lot of people who struggle every single day. And you can protest and you can scream online as much as you want. But no one's listening because everyone is screaming. And if everyone is screaming, then what are you screaming about? Because it's the same situation. Call me far right, call me whatever you want in the comments. Oh, he's speaking his mind. Yeah, I was scared for a long time to speak my mind, to be honest. I'd say it to friends, I'd say it to family, but I was scared. I was scared to speak my mind, but I'm not anymore. Because the government sucks and I want to leave the country. I hate this country. This country. England sucks. England completely sucks. Oh, but we've got the South Downs. Oh, so? I don't care. Oh, what about Cornwall? I don't care. The loveliest bit about this whole country is London Stansted Airport with your £5 flights and you can get out of here. That's the best bit about this country. Leaving. That's all I think about when I'm looking at moving. Where is the easiest place to leave from? I'm not going to live somewhere if I can't escape. And that's how I feel. Because it sucks. And again, as I said, it doesn't matter how much screaming I do here. No one's listening. I might get 5 views on this video and it doesn't matter. I'm just screaming at a camera, sitting in my bedroom at like midnight. Because I'm riled up about homelessness, because I went through it for years and I struggled. And I remember times where I'd have £3 in my bank, sometimes less. And I really did struggle. And I can think about all these times where I had no electric and no running water. And there was a time where I had to pick genuinely between fuel for my car or food. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter, because I'll get no views on this video anyway, because no one's going to care. No one's watching at this point. They're all gone. This country sucks. And Oliver, I'm Oliver. Leave. Leave this country when you got the chance. Like, really, what is there? What is there anymore? If they don't even care about their own people, but they're housing migrants, it says a lot. It says so much. It speaks volume. We're all screaming, but no one's listening. It's as simple as that. We are all screaming, but no one's listening. That's life in the UK. I don't really know how to move forward, to be honest, because every day new things come up and every day it gets worse. And I just think about my son, what world he's being brought up in, and maybe it was unfair to have a child, because no one deserves to be brought up in this world. And whoever you are watching this video, if you actually did get this far, good luck, because you're going to need it. If I could give you some sort of advice though, leave. Bye. No, seriously, go. Go. Go now. Get on that flight, just go. My parents and I are okay. You know, I don't live near them, but I'm glad to have them in my life. Yeah, they shouldn't have had 5 kids and they could have done a better job. But they do also watch my videos. So, the people who were like that in my family, those siblings, they're not around. My son will never meet them. Just, yeah. I had a horrible upbringing. And I didn't get help. And neither will you. So, yeah. This country sucks, and what else can we do but drink? Today I'm drinking apple and ginger.